Welcome to a Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And tonight, on a Mexican Crossing Lines, I'm going to be talking about from Standing Rock to climate change caravan. How did we get there? How did we get from Standing Rock to the climate change caravan? And I'm calling it the climate change caravan because this is starting to become repeated more and more frequently as part of the progression that the caravan has gone through, from an exodus to a group of asylum seekers to the border support network, to the caravan support network, to the border support network, and how it's all connected all the way back to Standing Rock. So I'm going to cover more about the leadership behind the border support network, which includes talking about its founder, Evan K. Duke, and how he previously tried to discredit the reporting of the station way back in Standing Rock, because I was unearthing how these folks were involved in the organization. Many of the people I was tracking were also involved in framing an innocent Oglala Lakota woman. So it was very important not only to trace this network, but to find out how it operates, how it's funded. There is a group of Native American leaders that have been inserted into the Caravan support network, and they were also part of Standing Rock, and there is a reason behind that. But there are also people that are the true leadership, the true funders, the true movers and shakers that kind of control, manage, do all of the public relations work behind these Indigenous faces that were put out there, like Vanessa Dundon, like Myron Dewey, like Michelle Cook. And we'll be talking about what those folks are doing right now, involving the Tohono O'odham tribe, as well as the Caravan Support, Border Support Network, and the camps and the activists that are involved there. But first, I want to thank you for sharing our content, comments, sending us emails, and everything that you do to support our work. Duke, how can they help support our station's work?
Well, I'd like to thank all of you for participating. We enjoy so many people across the country and internationally that watch our shows, and I'd like to show you where you can bring in more information if you'd like to. Of course, you're watching us on Facebook. Well, maybe you're not, but if you're watching on Facebook, it's 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead, the People's Press Project, the Mexi-Can. And if you want to give us a call and leave a message on our voicemail, our voice message machine, you can call 701-566-0917. Again, that number, 701-566-0917. You can tweet us at media_PPP. You can also email Cindy at kpppfm.com or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. Now, we're taking our videos and we're putting them on YouTube. The channel is Duke1517. Go to YouTube, look up Duke 1517 or Duke Gomez-Schempp. Subscribe to our channel and help us get to 1,000 subscribers. That's our main goal right now. Also, you can go to kpppfm.com, and that's our main website, and that's where we basically put our videos up, our audio files. It tells you a little bit about the organization. Also, we're a nonprofit organization. We're a nonprofit radio station in Fargo Moorhead. And we ask people to make contributions, tax-deductible contributions to our station. And you can go to kpppfm.com/donate. It helps us pay the bills, and we're on a shoestring budget. We have very old equipment, and, we're doing what we can. trying to improve things. We've got a green screen now, which is just basically a piece of green cloth, but we figured that out, and we're trying to move things on technically. You can help us out by making a tax-deductible donation at kpppfm.com/donate, and that would help us out and help us meet our goals of every month. We have to pay our rent for our tower and our FCC, or our music fees, so we can play music. We're using royalty-free music on these broadcasts, so we don't get messed with by Facebook or YouTube. And thank you very much, and make sure you can spread our show around when we're done, and we really appreciate the participation.
Yes, we do. And I want to dive right in and give you... I wanted to share with all of you that tomorrow I will be on Tori Says, in other words, on April 22nd. And I will be talking about what's happening at the border in general. I've been trying to explain the connections between Standing Rock and what's happening with the caravans to my audience, because I know the importance of understanding who all of the players are and how this network of people works together. They have fought very hard since I started reporting on the phenomenon of the camp that was here for over a year in North Dakota against the Dakota Access Pipeline. They fought very hard to conceal that they were an organized group of individuals and groups, to conceal that they were organized, that they had a plan, and that this plan involves infiltrating, astroturfing campaigns and issues that are very real to the people from the area, from the reservation, from Standing Rock. And then taking that issue for themselves and putting their own brand, fundraising off of it, putting their own brand on it, and politicizing it. And I wanted to share with you the damage, the terrible damage that does in the long run to a community, whatever side of an issue or party that you favor in this country. You should care that the very people who helped to manufacture this crisis that we have at the border are the people that are now standing in line to be the solution. Is that something you're comfortable with? Do you not want to know more about the skills, the background, the abilities, the capability of these individuals and the groups within the Border Support Network to support the migrant caravans, to give a long-term following to these cases of asylum seekers, to giving ongoing sponsorship for years for the people that have entered this country seeking asylum, and that will be for years within that process, and all of the other hundreds, if not thousands, of undocumented people that are pouring over our southern border right now. Because I don't think that they are. I haven't seen them do what they say that they're going to do since they started working together at Standing Rock. So I have no confidence that they're going to do any better or any different now. And I've shown you a lot of evidence of the fact that I don't think they even have the understanding or the wherewithal. This is what is problematic to me about these folks putting themselves front and center and requesting donations off of supporting and creating a crisis, bringing people here in a way that is unethical, illegal, and harmful to the topic of immigration, to the discussion about security or our border wall, and everything else having to do with these migrants who are readily exploitable, naive, and are at the whim of these organizers and manipulators of the caravan. The people there are at their whim. And these folks, they know how to organize. They, as Evan Duke told you in a video I shared recently, talking more in depth about their modus operandi, about what their goals were ever since they were at Standing Rock. Evan K Duke III, the founder of the Border Support Network group Facebook page, and one of the founders of the camps that are currently at our southern border for the Border Support Network, was very upset about the way that I talked about water protectors at Standing Rock and the way that they are doing misinformation in the media now to try to shield themselves, to try to hide their true activities. They were trying to deflect back then. Here is an old post by Evan K. Duke in which he is complaining about my reporting and our station. Do you want to read that one, Duke?
Sure. Evan K. Duke III. Cindy and her 88.1 show have slandered so many people that it's beyond shameful. She started with water protectors and branched out to anyone she could get dirt on. Some of us actually speculate that she is a media front for Tiger Swan, much like the netizens group that popped up during Standing Rock and started slandering veterans and water protectors. She uses unfounded rumor, speculation, and opinion as if they were evidence. She also looks for people with a beef, takes them under her wing, asks for screenshots of their Facebook Messenger communications, and creeps around people's pages stealing pictures. I'm speaking about what she does generally with everyone she attacks.
And if you go to the second one there's about one more paragraph.
Oops, sorry, wrong slide. My bad. Let's see. I'm speaking about what she does. I'm speaking about what she does generally with everyone she attacks. She makes unfounded accusations to get people to watch her show. A lot of us call her Cindy Springer at this point.
Right. So you see there's a pattern. This is the same Evan K. Duke quoted in the San Diego Union Tribune saying that some right-wing conspiracy theorist reporter in North Dakota, he believes is the root, the source for the ongoing investigation by the Department of Homeland Security of this Border Support Network group. And notice that during Standing Rock, I was part of netizens.
Yeah, I guess.
And connected to Tiger Swan. So the pattern, even from the very same person, from just one person, the pattern is to make up incredible, crazy positions to call me conspiracy theorist, to say that, for example, Oscar El Blue Ramirez is a what did they call him? Evan K. Duke said he was a fascist.
Oh, yeah.
See, because it fits their narrative that within the progressive movement right now, which is that if you see a Nazi, you're supposed to attack them.
That's right. Smash a Nazi.
Yeah, you're supposed to go punch a Nazi. They're like these anti-fascist leaders like Evan Duke and many of the people that founded the Border Support Network will tell you that, you know, they're ready to throw down. They're ready to get violent by any means necessary, right?
Right.
And so the tactics that they use, notably in the video that I recently shared about their Standing Rock plans, they talked about how they and the Red Warrior camp were accused of instigating these made-for-TV moments at Standing Rock where there were violent clashes and tear gas and whatnot, and that people, including the elders of the Native American tribes there, wanted them gone. But that, you know, honestly, after those things came out in the media, they got a lot more followers and donations. So who's the dummy? Remember that, Duke?
Oh, yeah.
So this is what these folks advocate for. Never mind that that has nothing to do with the water protectors who were supposed to be peaceful and prayerful and Native American led. Evan K. Duke is not Native American, just in case you were wondering. But a lot of these folks ended up claiming Native American heritage afterwards. Or, they put a lot of white, very, very white passing Native American leaders. And I want to remind you that the Border Support Network outed themselves and even posted this picture of a Antioch College chalkboard in which they have their whole network mapped out for you to see. They recycled the prophecy that was used out at Standing Rock, the Eagle and Condor prophecy. Their resistance, #resistance, that's been connected to the anti-Trump campaigns like, impeach and resist, has front and center, going right down the middle, water protectors and land protectors on each side. The land front is going to stop the building of the wall and is going to protect the butterfly center. And then you have the indigenous leader water protectors who are presumably being the leaders of this indigenous-led border support, right? Helping our brothers and sisters across the border. But truly, if you look beneath that, they've got legal witnesses, which are these escorts or accompaniers, people that are there supposedly to watch, but who the authorities say they have evidence of actually instigating and helping people cross into this country illegally. And then, of course, they have Border Support Network leaders making political statements, protest organizing. All of this undergirded by funding, as you can see. The migrant support on the right has a whole distribution network with names and locations. You've got Bertie Gutierrez in San Diego, Mr. Tucker in Texas. You've got Leti Herrera, who also works with Bertie Gutierrez in Tijuana. You've got a network on both sides of the border offering medical support for activists and asylum seekers, sponsors in the USA, right? And legal support. And then on the left, you have their messaging machine. It's going to be called Educating You, but the education will include teaching people how to get arrested, nonviolent direct action training, and the teachers will be from the Border Support Network. Antifa leaders teaching people to be in, and of course, this is all supposed to be an indigenous-led movement. Wink, 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 wink. They've got their history of natural resources being taught. That's laughable, Myron Dewey, by Myron Dewey of Digital Smoke Signals and colleges. And of course, you've got Indian culture and history being taught by activists that were at Standing Rock like Myron Dewey and Dwayne Redwater and Wiaka Eagleman, who are all part of this, inclusion of, astroturfing of Native American tribes, including the Carrizo Come Crudo tribe and the Tohono O'odham tribe, into the Border Support Network. Why do they do it? Because they want to have the moral authority of those Indian faces, which are really puppeted by politically connected people in power, most of them wealthy white males. But they want to put indigenous faces and say, we are the people, the original people of this country. You can't be deciding who gets to be here and who doesn't get to be here. That's why they put the Carrizo Come Crudo. That's why they put the Tohono O'odham into the Border Support Network. But they also have unethical legal groups, legal support, led by Al Otro Lado, by name. This was all provided to Antioch College students, faculty, and through their media there in radio interviews they did with Lilith Sinclair, one of the administrators for the Border Support Network, on their Facebook page, and activist and a spokesperson for the Border Support Network. On the first or second week, I believe, of December in 2018. But you know, Vanessa Dundon was also out there with Brendan Tucker, these people from the Border Support Network. And what they were talking about is hella interesting, because I want you to hear what one of the leaders of the Border Support Network with an Indigenous face is talking about. And bear with me, it may be hard to understand her or be able to fathom what she means as she contradicts herself. And these are clips, by the way, because this is from a longer, like 50 minute interview that is rambling and quite quiet. You had to really boost her voice. I don't know how you pick her to be a spokesperson of anything.
Exactly. It's going to be a little bit buzzy, so we'll try our best.
She doesn't talk very loudly or coherently. More importantly, the coherently part. This is from the interview that she did about her Standing Rock, her involvement in the Caravan Support Network, how she got from there to there. The question I have, because you have to tie yourself up into a pretzel to take the stuff that was happening at Standing Rock, put all those people at the head of this Caravan Support Network movement, and the funding and the control and all of the organizing around it, and justify supplanting the voices of Mexicans and Central Americans who are the most affected by this issue, right? And this is what Vanessa had to say. Here's the first clip.
My name is Vanessa Dundon. I am from the Navajo Nation, from Dene Nation, Arizona. I'm also known as Susie Desba, and I am the founder of Missing Flowers, Murdered Missing Indigenous Women and Men. And I am here with a delegation that came from Tijuana. We're the Border Caravan Support Network, Asylum Seekers Network, and that's what brought me here today.
Cool. What is the
name of your group? The Border Seekers somethings or other, I don't know. So tell me, you're with a delegation. You're part of the supposed Indigenous front, right? Leadership. And you don't even know the name of the group that you're with? Because they don't care. Because they take somebody like Susie Desba, a.k.a. Vanessa Dundon, and slap her face in front of it so that they can say, this is led by Native Americans. This is led by First Nations people. You don't even have a right to opine next to them and their moral authority on this issue. Meanwhile, they have political people behind all of it. Here's the next clip.
Came from Susie. I went to Standing Rock in September of 2016. I was injured on Backwater Bridge on November 20th, 2016, the night of the water cannons, where they sprayed everybody and, in below freezing temperatures. I was hit with a tear gas cannon. It hit directly into my iris. If you look at my eye, it healed beautifully. I'm lucky it healed beautifully, and my eye actually is healthy, but the vision's, I might as well have been left blind. The doctor's done as much as he can do, but I will have to have surgeries every year to remove the cataracts and to do lens replacements. So that's where I kind of, where I didn't know what to do with my platform. And, I had such this large following and this large platform, and I wanted to do something with it where it would be, helpful somewhere. And I have a lot of missing relatives, and actually going down to Tijuana, I was invited a few times by some other people, and I just didn't feel like going. I've already been injured before, and then I see these videos of tear gas and all sorts of craziness, and I'm hearing about craziness, and I'm just like, maybe I should just avoid that, and then plus I didn't have a passport. I figured, you need a passport to go down there. Then I was reached out by another brother, Myron Dewey. So after the third brother, reached out.
Just hold on for a minute there. I'm going to try to translate that all over the place. So I got injured at Standing Rock. I got shot in the eye, and then we have to have a lot of surgeries. I'm not going to have any vision in that eye, so I got a big platform off of that. Yeah. Lots and lots of followers at Standing Rock, and I'm like, what can I do? What can I do with this platform? What can I use it for? I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, and so I was like, hey, I'm not trying to go down to Tijuana where people are getting shot in the eyes and there's like tear gas flying all over the place because I already did that. That would be stupid. But then Myron Dewey got a hold of me, and he was like, we're down here, and about 3 of them, we know who they were: Evan K. Duke, Myron Dewey, Brendan Tucker, Lila Sinclair. She was hanging out with all those folks. We showed you who she went down there to be with, right? You saw.
Oh, yeah.
And then she's like, and so I'm like, what do I have a lot of besides followers on my Facebook page from my eye injury at Standing Rock? Missing relatives. So why don't I just make a page about that?
Yep.
Didn't mean that you have to have searched for them or have any background or skills or knowledge or even capabilities, like to be like the kind of person that would go search for someone in Mexico, which she's about to tell you she went to do, supposedly, and never have any contact with the local authorities, never even know if she's looking in the right region of the country for someone that's been missing, supposedly, for like 2 years. But hey, what the hell do I know about being a searcher for missing and murdered Indigenous women? Right? Here we go with the rest of that section. Clip.
To me, and I knew they were all together. Afterwards, I was like, okay, I feel safe enough. I'm going to go down here. And so I went down here on behalf of my sister, Misty Bedoni. She's my sister-in-law. She's a lot younger than me. I've known her since she was a little girl, probably like 9 or 10 years old, and I was probably about 15. And she went missing about 2.5 years ago now. And about a year after she went missing, we got a call. Her mom got a call from her, and she was in Mexico. So I didn't find this out until less than a year ago when I reached out to our Navajo Nation advocate, and I was told this, and I was like, what? So now I knew she was at least alive somewhere, because for the longest time I thought maybe the worst happened to her on our reservation. So I go and I make these posters, and I also reach out to our Navajo Nation advocate if there's anyone else, and on my platform, if anybody has any relatives that might have been taken to Mexico. And I got the name of 3 other women. So I made these laminated, colored posters, and I gave them out while I was down there. And while also I was down there, I started documenting the story.
Okay, go to the next clip.
All right.
Are they taking them to Mexico? Like, what's the reason?
Well, it's drug cartels. specifically.
Is it like human trafficking type of
Human
thing?
trafficking,
Jesus.
yeah, drug cartels, sex trafficking, and that opens up more doors as I've been interviewing, and now I'm here in Ohio. Right before we left, I talked to Bertie Gutierrez, who is in San Diego, and she actually takes donations down there, and then we put them, we get them over the border. Anybody going down there to help. So because the problem is the people aren't getting the donations there in Mexico. The government, everybody wants their piece. UNICEF even, don't donate to them. They're working with them, and you'll see in Bartertal. Yes, people have shoes on. Yes, they're clothed. But it was raining heavily that day we went, and all of these tents are in 4 or 5 inches of dirty water. So then you think they're laying in this, it was just so sad. But then we go to another camp, the Juarez camp, where they're actually being evicted. I think today is the eviction day for them, because they want to move them to Bartertal, which immigration and everything took over.
Okay, let's just break that down for a minute, because I want you to hear how all of these border support network activists lie through their teeth. First of all, Susie Desbaum does not speak Spanish. Neither does Evan Duke. Neither does Brendan Tucker. Neither does Lilith Sinclair. Neither does Myron Dewey. None of the people that were there with them spoke Spanish. Well, Lolly B says she speaks Spanish, but a lot of these people that said they spoke Spanish were horrible at translating and didn't really know what the hell was going on, which is why they did such horrible translations for other people. But let me tell you that they did not understand the people there. So her stories about what was really going on are all made up by her. But also, you guys know, if you follow what's been going down in Tijuana, if you were following the reporting of Alfredo Alvarez, Frontera.info, or Oscar El Blue Ramirez, or any number of reporters that were in Mexico, then you know that there was a need to evacuate the people from the Benito Juarez location, which she's talking about. Oh, those people are going to get evacuated, and they're going to send them to the Barretal, where there's 3 or 4 inches of dirty water. What? Duke, what was the conditions of El Barretal? What was the floor conditions there? Even in the open areas where the tents were out there?
Oh, it was flat. It was dirt. It was
concrete.
Concrete, yes.
And what did they have on the concrete for the tents?
Pallets, and so they'd be off the ground.
Right. About how many inches off the ground?
About 4 or 5 inches.
Okay. And then on top of that, did they have some tarped over large, giant tarped over areas on top of the
tents and
the tents that were out there?
Yeah, they had protected areas. They had tents inside. They had an overhang. They had other larger tents, really big tents they put up, and then they put small tents underneath. They were dealing with the runoff, in the middle of there, and the pallets, and on top of the pallets was cardboard and other material to make it softer, so when people are sleeping it wasn't so hard.
Plus, inside of the buildings where there was insides that people could be in, there were thousands of people.
Yeah.
Whereas at Benito Juarez, they were in a baseball field.
Mm-hmm.
Open. There was no pallets. When the government opened the other emergency location, it was because outside of Benito Juarez and inside of Benito Juarez, which is very near to the border, but also very near to where the sewage backs up when it rains a lot, there was literally raw sewage pouring through the streets. And these folks, after they had their porta potties removed, they refused to go to the safer location, many of them because of the lies of activists like this one, promoting this stuff here in the United States, folks, to college students. Okay, to imagine you're a vulnerable, college student trying to figure out how you can do the most help, and you're listening to somebody that is lying to them, like Vanessa Dundon, saying that, the people that are, um, they're trying to force them to go to El Barratal, and yes, of course, over there at El Barratal they have shoes and things, and it's clean, but it's horrible when it rains. She is ginning up the conversation, which, of course, as you know, did keep thousands of people from going to a safer location at El Barretal and put migrants at risk. It left migrants, including unaccompanied minors, in a very unsafe part of town, and it resulted in the deaths of two of these caravan migrants, which these activists have been trying to blame on the Mexican authorities and the Mexican government ever since. And you know what else is really disgusting about what she does? She then also does the same thing by saying that the Mexican authorities and the Mexican government were stealing the donations. Don't give to UNICEF. But wait, does she want you to give to her? Her who's not a Central American refugee, migrant, or anything near that, or even anything having to do with helping the migrants, even the fake, phony, or fraudulent groups? Yeah, she wants you to give her your money. Wait a minute, she'll tell you in a second, but let's finish listening to this clip.
During this time, over 500 to 600 people have been out there, and they'd be like, oh no, I've seen kids with shoes on, and I've seen this, and I said, yes, that's at one camp though, that's at Baratal, the one that immigration took over, the one that they let people go see, the one that they let you kind of just wander in and think that these people are all okay. Then you go to the other 14 shelters and you don't see this, and you see them trying to force these people out. They're removing restrooms so that they, don't even have anywhere to go to the restroom. You see feces on the ground, you see babies with no shoes or no socks on. And that's like, that directly, if you want to send support out there, you can send it to Bertie Gutierrez. She does Love Over the Bridges. She has that organization.
No, it's not called Love Over the Bridges. She doesn't know, nor does she care for you to send money to Bertie Gutierrez. She's like, Bertie Gutierrez, if you want to send money directly down there so that it might get to a migrant, you can send it to something about the bridges and whatever the hell. But you could also send it to me. Here she goes.
Yeah.
Organization over there, and they need shoes. Specifically, we need women and children's shoes. We need underwear.
Yeah, here.
Are you scared out there? Are you scared? And I already knew the risks going into Mexico. You always need to be very aware. But it didn't feel that scary because I was around people that I knew were going to watch over me. But if you don't have that and you decide to go out here, it's best to probably link up with, one of our brothers from Asylum Seekers or, the Border Caravan Support Network, so that we can make.
That's twice she's got it wrong. Border Caravan Support Network.
Yep.
No. It was probably still morphing in their brains because they changed the name of it so many times that she's like, screw it. I'm not even going to try. Something having to do with the border and the caravan. Whatever. And notice how she's saying, if you're going to go down there, you need to link up with someone from the Border Caravan, whatever the hell it's called, network. Here she goes. This is how she knows she ain't running it.
Make sure that you get in there and are properly trained to deliver these, because you can't just go in also with these donations, because one, they'll either take them at the door from you, and what was really sad was we were leaving.
Wow. She's like, and you got to do this because donations are like shiny ball. What's
That's right.
Okay. Then here's another clip. She went off on some tangent.
It's a lot worse than what the propaganda, the cover-ups, the trolls that think that we're just here to profit off of these people, in which I would never do. I've gotten $100 in donations. So for helping me specifically in what I'm doing, that's why I'm here at Antioch College. I'm hoping I can get more funding to continue my journey along the borderline, because I am a grassroots organization. I'm not a nonprofit, and I've had my nonprofit paperwork sitting there for about a year now, and I just haven't done it. There's a lot of red tape when it comes to nonprofits, and even though I do have other people who are willing to be chairs, and I have one lady who makes my posters, and I have all these admins, I'm the only one actively with boots on the ground. I'm the one, doing these things. They're my support network. So I do have a PayPal directly if people do want to. It is on the page. It's under Missing Flowers, or my personal one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, it took us a long time to get there, though.
Yeah.
And she's like, so, okay, I'm going to ask for money now. Here goes. I am not a, organization. I am, I'm not a nonprofit organization. I am a nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
But
a grassroots organization.
I'm a grassroots organization. Oh, I'm sorry. She's like, I'm a grassroots organization. And so I could be a nonprofit, but there's a lot of red tape. And yeah, also there's a lot of accountability. But, there's that. And she's like, there's a lot of red tape. I mean, I could have done it, but I haven't.
She said the money's sitting right there.
And you know what? You could just PayPal me.
Mm-hmm. Skip all that stuff. Just
skip all of that.
Just give me the money.
Just give me the money and it'd be fine. And no explanation as to how this helps the migrants in the caravan.
Mm-hmm.
None. How does PayPaling her? Seriously, how does that help anyone in the migrant caravan? Here's the next clip.
I'm going to do what I can, because that's what really matters, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the lawsuit that I'm in, I sued Morton County. It's Dundon versus Kirchmeier. My last name is Vanessa, my name is Vanessa Dundon. Dundon versus Kirchmeier, Kirchmeier. That is Sheriff Kirchmeier. It's still in the works. They told me it was going to be 2 to 10 years for any justice, if I even receive justice. It's a class action lawsuit. We're just waiting actually on a verdict right now to, maybe it will get pushed to trial. If it doesn't, it'll be dismissed and it'll be gone and done. So we're like kind of on our last leg right now. So I'm and that's.
Oh my God. Is the lady that is interviewing her asleep at the wheel?
I think
or
so.
What, Duke?
She's doing paperwork there in the background. She's running around, looking up stuff, sliding away back and forth.
Does she not? Because I know that y'all heard at the beginning of the interview where she's like, in 2016, I was at Standing Rock and somebody shot me in the eye and I got lots of people following me from that. And that's how I decided, I have a lot of followers. I got a lot of missing relatives. Why don't I do a page for that? And then here I am with the Caravan Support Network,
Yeah.
And then, she does the same thing again, except now she's like, how do you even explain what she just told you?
It's like she's grabbing little word phrases that she's supposed to memorize that she doesn't quite remember, and she just strings them all together. It's kind of like the chat down there when you have too many words. It's just flip, 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 flip. And she hasn't learned the script yet.
No, but what is she explaining to you? What do you take away from what she just explained to you?
That you can PayPal her. It's about the only thing that made sense, and no, it was...
No, that was the previous one.
Oh, well, this one, I couldn't even listen to anything that even I can remember.
We'll play it again then.
I have to
Listen.
back up.
Just play it.
Dismissed and it'll be gone and dead. So we're like kind of on our last leg right
Well,
now.
the lawsuit.
Yes.
So
Now,
I'm,
let me
and
tell
that's-
you why this is so important, okay?
Yep.
Because I don't want you to miss the fact that this all happened in 2016 and it's 2019. So you as a listener, she's like, she was involved in a class action. It's called Vanessa Dundon versus Morton County.
Okay.
Why didn't she name any other plaintiffs in this
Said Kirchmeier.
3-year-old thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, by the way, folks, she didn't dwell on this very much, but let me just point out that I told you that these unscrupulous legal lawyer groups that raised millions and millions of dollars to defend water protectors ended up keeping a lot of that money and not helping the water protectors. And those groups were the Lakota Law Project, the Water Protector Legal Collective, which was formerly called the Red Owl Legal Collective, and Fresh It. Okay? Those are the main groups. And so it was very interesting to hear her bring up this sore topic, because not only did these groups say that they were going to defend the people that got arrested unfairly by the Morton County people, they were also going to fight for the rights of those that were injured, like Marcus Mitchell and Vanessa Dundon and Sophia Wilansky and all these other people that were injured in some way. Some of them got hit in the crotch. Some of them lost partial. Some of them, one guy had a heart attack, supposedly. All these people that got injured, that had their knees smashed, that had broken bones or broken ribs or whatever, that ended up in the hospital because they were inhaling all of this, tear gas, etc. What became of that? What became of all of those people that were going to get defended, and they were going to sue Morton County, and we're going to sue Trump, and we're going to sue this? Crickets. Crickets for the longest time. And then she brings it up recently with regard to the caravans, which we know have lawyers groups that are raising millions and millions of dollars. They're on their damn chalkboard at Antioch College, right there.
Yep.
Al otro lado. And others, of course. We know there's others. But that's the primary one, according to that, right? And here is the interesting thing. These lawyers groups that are raising millions and millions of dollars did nothing. What did she tell you in very quick form? I was involved in a lawsuit, so it was like me against Morton County, but it's a class action, but I'm not going to name any of the other plaintiffs because we don't really know where the lawsuit is going. Like, either it's going to go forward or it's not going to go forward, if I'm even going to get any kind of justice. But, probably it's on its last leg, so it's probably going to die now. It's dead. So all of that hoopla and all of that money raised and all of that advertising that led people to spend all of these millions of dollars to defend cases, to fight cases like yours, are dead in the water, essentially. Got it. Okay then. Moving on.
And it's like, what can we do? What are those camps like? You've been down there. What's really going on down there?
Oh, I didn't, I asked some women, if anything was happening there. They didn't want to talk about it. And then there were some other interviews that were done by other people where they didn't want to show their faces, where they did talk a little bit about it. Man, it's just so hard. We don't even know where to go, and me just talking about these and trying to document this, I still don't even know where to go with all this information. I still don't know who I should be talking to. That's why I just tell people to share these videos, and I'm hoping that, because everything happens for a reason for me. I don't know, ever since I went on my path a few years ago, I feel like even, being shot, everything, even the coinkydinks, and then you just happening to know that, follow me and then find.
Okay. Well, translation, I guess, is, so how can people help you help the Border Support Network and the people that are migrants that are down there and what's really going on with them. Well, some people say in interviews that have never aired that had people that didn't want to talk really, but they did kind of talk, but nobody ever heard about it. There's information about that, but I don't know what the hell it is. I don't even speak Spanish. Anyway, life is a bowl of cherries. Life is like a box of chocolates, and you never know what's going to happen, but it could all be good, like even getting my vision lost because I went on a journey 3 years ago, and here I am now. Share my video. I don't know where any of this is going. I don't know what I'm doing. They tell you. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't really know what's going on. PayPal me.
Mm-hmm.
But we're supposed to put the needs of these vulnerable people in their hands. Whatever you think of this mass migration, this should disturb you deeply. And that should also show you that she don't run nothing. She can't even run her mouth. How's she going to run a page? Who's running that page? It's Jay Ponti. Jay Ponti is an influencer. Jay Ponti is one of the people that works on Bernie Sanders' campaign with Winnie Wong and all of these Hollywood people. Here is his Facebook page.
You know what? There's one more clip.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uno más.
I thought crazy was over.
No,
I thought crazy time was over, but
just one more minute.
One more. Okay, let's listen.
So I actually hitchhiked from Phoenix to Flagstaff to my res, which is about a 4-hour drive the whole way.
Sheesh.
And then from there, I got a ride share up all the way up to North Dakota. And I was never a protester or anything before. And then I was scared, because the blacklisted and the FBI government, and they're going to get my name. And, they scare you with these things. So back home on the res, me and my girls, we would just sit around and we would be really resi and funny and do jokes and comedy. And I was Susie Yazzie, Queen of the Nation, the one true bloodline. Excuse your beauty. So a month goes by, and I get indicted into the grassroots chapter of American Indian Movement, the 7th generation. There were 16 of us that were indicted there, and and moved into the grassroots. And so when I signed the flag, instead of just signing it Susie, I signed it like Sue because I was on their land, and that's how the spelling changed, and that's how. When people call me Susie, that's where it came from. So,
That's
but I
awesome.
was just like you, and I was just ready to fight. Let's go. And now I've learned I learned that fighting doesn't always it doesn't help anything in the end. But sometimes you just have to take that stand to push it a little bit to wake up some people and to show that how serious you are. So sometimes it is the best, the only way, our last resort. But
What? What did she just say? She said she was indicted into the AIM movement. Indicted?
Indicted.
I don't think you know what that word
I
means.
think she meant inducted.
No, I think she means indicted, and I hope it's a foreshadowing of things to come.
Yeah.
Is this pretty please? Can I have it for my birthday? Listen. That's what it is crazy. You have to play that one more time just for me. Because you got to listen to this, folks. Do you really think that this woman should be at the forefront of anything having to do with vulnerable anybody? Seriously. Then she got indicted into the AIM movement and she signed their flag. What in the hell does the AIM movement have anything to do with the Caravan Support Network? Oh, but it does. Remember I told you it does? Oh, but it does. Because they were at Standing Rock, because they're the security element, the gang element, they're the thug element, they're the muscle element. For some godforsaken reason. And people think it's cool. Did you see how she behaved when she was talking about how when she went to Standing Rock, she was a little bit scared? Did she look scared to you as she was giggling like
No.
a schoolgirl remembering an old flame?
Nope. She looked like she was all giddy about and the FBI gets your names and stuff like
You
that.
get to be on an FBI watch list
Oh yeah.
and everything. And I have street cred. I'd be like, I'm on an FBI watch speechless. They
Yeah.
think it's cool.
Mhm.
And then AIM indicted me, and I was indicted in AIM, and I was just like, and then she's like, and of course, and I've told you that these groups have tendencies to violence, which is why they use a lot of these ex-felons with violent records. And then they say, and they tell you, what I learned out at Standing Rock, when all that, and then I got injured, and then there was violence, and it was wrong, and it was bad, and I realized violence is ultimately not the way to go. Violence is wrong. Violence is something that you shouldn't use, but sometimes it's good, and it's the only thing you can do. That's what she said.
Yep.
That's what she just said.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Listen to her again. She cray. Listen. These are her words. And they say I twist their words. I'm not twisting them. This is her words.
It doesn't help anything in the end. But sometimes you just have to take that stand
So
to
you gotta go back
push it a
further.
little bit to wake up some people and to show that how things change. And that's how when people call me Susie, that's where it came from. So,
That's
but I was
awesome.
just like you, and like I was just ready to fight, like let's go. And now I've learned though. I learned that fighting it doesn't always it doesn't help anything in the end. But sometimes you just have to take that stand to like push it a little bit to wake up some people and to show that how serious you are. So sometimes it is the best, the only way, our last resort. But
The only way or last resort, those are two different things, pendeja.
Yeah.
Very different. The only way or the last resort.
Yes.
They're two different things. Ay, Dios mío. Podría ser más pendeja. I don't think she could. But that's why the person that really runs all of her stuff is a guy working in politics, in power, part of the Ban Exit LA group that was working with Hollywood actress Madeline Kelly Merritt, the Hollywood actress that also had a media platform called Activate Now. And this is Jay Ponti's Facebook page. This is showing on this slide that he is the person that manages, if you go all the way to the bottom, manages missing flowers, missing murdered Indigenous women and men. He's from Pakistan or India or something like that. If you scroll a little bit further down, is there a part of the pictures of his page? No. How about up? Oh no, those are too small. Go to the next picture. Here he is. This is a better cover photo, and you can see he's shaking hands with Bernie Sanders. He is definitely not Native American anything. Okay? Not nothing Native American or remotely having to do with missing and murdered Indigenous women, but that doesn't really matter to these folks. They astroturf and hijack real issues for their own political and policy ends. Here he is with some of his other friends that also were at Standing Rock and have now inserted themselves into the Caravan Support Network. Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and Francis Fisher.
Wow.
And here he is with Susan Sarandon and Mr. Fox, who did a documentary film called Awake.
Mm-hmm.
What was it called, Duke? I called it The Nightmare of Standing Rock
Yeah.
because it was a documentary about what they came and the nightmare that they created here for the people of the state of North Dakota, costing them over $30 million and so much trash, so much pollution, so much damage. But never mind, the Hollywood elite had a fun romp, and Mr. Fox got a free movie set paid for by the North Dakota taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
Here he is with his pals, Rosario Dawson. There's Ponti in the back, and there's Bernie Sanders right in the middle. And, of course, there is Rosario Dawson kneeling in the front, another frequent face that works with all of these people. But you know who else he is closely allied to? Why, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. These folks all somehow connect back to the Young Turks, which is where we got the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, where Wes Clark Jr. used to work. This is also the same place where you get producer of TYT content, Mark Lane. Mark Lane recently appeared in the news talking about the Border Support Network and his involvement in caring for the migrants. He's part of the San Diego Rapid Response Network. He's part of the Minority Humanitarian Foundation. And here's an interview they did with him in San Diego.
Overcrowding at the border has brought hundreds of migrants from immigration centers in Texas to San Diego. Sky 10 was overhead as the first round landed in San Diego today.
Our 10 News reporter Travis Rice is at Lindbergh Field, where Customs and Border Protection claims this has nothing to do with sanctuary cities. Travis.
Exactly. CBP says they're selecting cities like San Diego, which they say can handle a large influx of migrants. But to that, some say, what's the deal with the massive line of them on the other side of the border? This is the status quo for now. Families caught illegally crossing the border, deplaning at Lindbergh from chartered flights from Texas, where the shelters are too full to house any more migrants. Customs and Border Protection say there will be 3 flights a week to San Diego, each containing up to 135 people. Each government-sponsored flight costs $16,000, according to figures obtained by the Washington Post. Friday's first group was taken to Otay Mesa, where Border Patrol says they'll be processed. Fingerprinted, photographed, and their country of origin, all taken into account by U.S. officials.
We'll probably start seeing them getting discharged on Monday and Tuesday.
That's where people like Mark Lane step in. Immigration advocacy groups like his respond to wherever migrants are released after processing. He expects organizations like his to be even busier with this influx of people, but he says he's not happy the government just now found the room.
Obviously, they have the capacity because now we're going to be doing it for the ones out of Texas. So, that was just another lie that they told to create a choke point here in San Ysidro and Tijuana area.
He's already got 2 Central American families living at his house right now, and he's just as concerned with the daily difficulty faced by the next round of migrants once they are released.
They don't have phones for the most part. They don't have money for the most part. ICE isn't notifying their sponsors or their families that they're getting dropped off. So people can drop through the cracks pretty quickly and nobody will even know what happened.
Several other cities are on the list to be receiving more migrants. CBP says the surging year of illegal border crossings continue with roughly 4,500 arrests per day nationwide. Live at Lindbergh Field, Travis Rice, 10 News.
Thank you, Travis.
That's ABC 10 News. As you heard, that was Mark Lane, and he was titled there as the CEO of the Minority Humanitarian Foundation. Not too long ago, it said on their website it was Mark Lane. James Elia, right? And previous to that, the name was Mark Arabo before he had to leave the organization after a scandal involving like $250,000. But you'll have to go back and watch my previous shows to find out more about that. Go to a Mexican Crossing Lines on kpppfm.com for our previous shows. All you have to do is type in the search bar Mark Lane, Minority Humanitarian Foundation, etc., and you'll find out all about the details of the background of this guy and what he's into and the Underground Railroad he built to get Iraqis and Chaldeans here during the war, and Christian Iraqis and Chaldeans in an underground railroad that moved people through Mexico. It's a fascinating show if you go back and learn why a person like Mark Lane would be involved when this guy was selling fish. He literally had a fish restaurant. He is a restaurateur. Why is he doing refugee support and rescue? Money, 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 money. That's why all these people are doing it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And they tell you with a straight face, They're not invested in any way. They're just doing this as volunteers because of the kindness of their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
They're not connected to those people over there. They don't have anything to do with this or that. It's not true, but that doesn't really matter. It's just to keep the smoke screen going in front of them. And, you know, it works to a large degree because it helps you forget about the fact that McLean was working in Mexico with the LGBTQ Caravan that brought in a bunch of people early on. There's him behind one of the LGBTQ leaders that was a spokesperson for the rest of the 90-some people that arrived first around the fall of 2018 with Pitaya Queen, LGBTQIA activists, and also associated to the Caravan Support Network. And in this picture, you'll see how he's involved with the Caritas shelter. He's posting for Minority Humanitarian Foundation. And we looked up on his paperwork for his nonprofit, and it says in the project section of there that one of their things that they're working on is this place, this shelter.
Yeah.
This is a shelter that I told you they themselves run, and which Pitaya Queen claimed that Mexicans tried to kill queer people at by burning them inside of their rooms.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same shelter that offered the United States government a letter stating that the LGBTQ people in this caravan's life were indeed at risk because they that ran the shelter could verify that Mexican people had tried to burn them alive inside of the building. Right?
Right.
And the can you go to scene 6 really quick and then come back?
Sure.
I wanted to show you in scene 6 here that if you scroll up a little bit more, the Teen Vogue article in which the writer is somebody that McLean's organizations are working with, Ari Harnorvar, and the person that is talking about how he's the legal advocate for LGBTQ immigrants is McLean, San Diego legal advocate. He's everything, guys. He's the legal advocate. He's a media producer for TYT. He also is the CEO of Minority Humanitarian Foundation. It says in the same article that Nicole Ramos is quoted in accusing the Mexican government and the Mexican people and the Mexican city of Tijuana of being too transphobic, too homophobic, and too dangerous for them to survive in, and talking about the letter that they received from this shelter, and also they have a video on this article that came from somebody working with Pueblos Sin Fronteras. So it ties all of these people into working together in tandem to put out a story to get people asylum in an artificial way. And McLean is connected to all of them. But he doesn't want you to know that. In fact, if he was asked, he would deny it, because in these text messages that were provided to me by a person that he was texting with, he denies being part of Rapid Response or even connected to it in any way, even though we know he is, even though we know he does. He says, I'm not connected to Rapid Response. In fact, they hate me. Can you go to the very top so we can prove that this is his text? That's McLean, and you can even see his picture up there. And scroll down further and go right back to where you were. He says, I'm actually not connected to Rapid Response. In fact, they hate me. Secondly, the only migrants I work with are ones that have been paroled in by ICE. No, those that I just showed in the pictures were in Mexico, Mark. And he says, which makes them illegal. I don't work with any undocumented migrants. That is a bald-faced lie. As for helping Americans, he says, here's in a different part. He said, the only time Rapid Response uses my name is trying to discredit me. We have tried to get their funding pulled because we think they are not using it correctly. We are working with state legislators to have their funding pulled, and they are attacking. That is also demonstrably false, because everything that we've looked at has you working with the Rapid Response Network, tagged with the Rapid Response Network, working pretty closely with many of the organizations and the people that work with Bertie Gutierrez as well. And here he is with Bertie Gutierrez and Jeannie Wong. This is the Bridges of Love Across Borders organization that Vanessa Dundon couldn't bother to remember that she wanted you to kind of donate to, maybe if you wanted to help people at the border. But otherwise, you could just PayPal her. And of course, we know that this is in San Diego, but we know that these folks, according to what Vanessa just told us, are using activists to take this stuff into Mexico. And there's plenty of evidence that Mark Lane is in Mexico, including the Caritas Shelter post. And here is Ari Harnovar with Mark Lane posting about the hunger strike Mark Lane was on and the interview on Cenk Uyghur's platform. Ari Harnovar was also doing interviews with the Young Turks about the Caravan. And of course, the February 18 November post of Lane with Gina Kim, one of the producers for TYT, shows you that he was out there covering it as media as well. He was being interviewed as one of the people affected by the thing that's happening, and he's on a hunger strike. Here he is at Rebel headquarters being interviewed by Cenk Uyghur, and it's an interview with both James Zelaya and Mark Lane, because of course James Zelaya is also connected to TYT. But here's a Facebook post of November 18 in which you can see Mark Lane saying that he's in Tijuana covering what's happening with the Caravan. You can see the Mexican flag there. This was the large protest that happened when the migrants first arrived in Playas and refused to go to, and there was no shelter for them to be put in, so they were just staying on Playas, and people were really upset. And you can see that it says right there that the woman that he tags is the manager at the Young Turks, project manager at the Young Turks. And Mark Lane says that it looks like Tijuana PD is getting ready to do something.
Oh, yeah.
And Nicole Ramos and Mark Lane go way back too, so you know that the people in this network work together. Here's Nicole Ramos's video that she posted on her own page, talking smack about how illegal America's laws are and how illegal everything America is doing and the border people are doing. And he says, "Love me some Nicole Ramos," and then he doubles down on it and he says in Spanish, "A mí también me da vergüenza mi gobierno." I too am ashamed of my government. But tell us more about how you feel, Mark Lane. And he does. Here he is in a screenshot with Teen Vogue. Is that the next one we got?
Yeah, we already did that. Let's see.
Oh, screenshot. Oh, I guess we did. I guess we did do it. One of the Caravan members was falsely accused of prostitution. When they arrested them, they were forced to perform sexual acts on those who arrested them. Okay, that's her complaint about how CBP refused to process the group of asylum seekers due to capacity issues. And so it's very interesting how they use the folks that have just newly created these organizations like Al Otro Lado, and reusing old organizations like Minority Humanitarian Foundation, and just pushing them to the forefront of the Caravan issue. But another person working closely with Evan Duke on the as an Indigenous face, much like the sellout Susie Desba, aka Vanessa Dundon, is Myron Dewey of Digital Smoke Signals, and he is the husband of Deborah Parker, who works with Bernie's campaign and formed the Democratic platform, and she's part of the board of Our Revolution. This woman is a big player. She was also supplying the Bridges of Love across borders and helping cross donations to to Mexican side. Myron is one of the drone pilots that I told you about, and he is currently working on a video and photo editing project, which I found to be just hilarious. Some of the things that he says in here are redonkulous, but some of them are very enlightening and eye-opening. They tell you what these indigenous faces are out there doing, what they're doing for their handlers, what they're doing for these people that are trying to sell you the idea that this is just all organic and indigenous led and it's helping the people most affected, when in fact it is for a much higher political purpose. But Myron Dewey lets it slip in here what they're really up to. Listen to him talking about Standing Rock. Sorry, it's a little glitchy.
As we keep moving forward and bringing awareness. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you guys. In this treaty camp raid, this was also Dakota Access Pipeline workers working with police, because in the pictures here, they're actually arresting as well. And right here is a prayer circle. And then up here is where a young man he got ripped out of sweat. He was in sweat. I tell you, it's just like Thunderheart. It was just like Thunderheart. It was unreal to be able to witness this happening. You guys are getting Quinapuni'i, which is eagle eye. This is a horse trailer that was in the front with the teepee poles on the top. I think that, the teepees got brought back, but the one thing that didn't get brought back was all of these items here. Everyone's personal items were put in a large bin and dropped onto the reservation, compressed into a garbage bin and dropped off into the reservation. And the last day, February 23rd, when the North Camp went through, that's why the buildings were on fire, is because the desecration of sacred items. There's the media tent that was completely ripped up and damaged, donated by Flint, Michigan. So there's a lot happening here in this one photo. These are the academic arena here now, is to be able to some way, shape, or form make sure that this doesn't happen again in your community. And so what I'm sharing with you is when I blow this up, and these are the shots that I'm hoping that we can use in any way to tell our story as water protectors. It's independent media, community journalists, and if you're a tribal member, I call it advocacy journalism.
What?
Tribal members where they're filming. Advocacy journalism is where you're sharing your story. The footage that you have is your point of view. That's your footage. You're telling your story. This is your people on what you witnessed that your ancestors went through. So this is what I call advocacy journalism. And independent media that was here took that and used it, whether they shared it with the Guardian or the Intercept, but that was independent media. And community journalists are everybody, that are bringing that message in. And there's times, where you're looking at this as community journalism, where I'm sharing it with the community here. But the advocacy journalism, those parts are for me. When I say about community journalism, I want you guys to look at this part right here. This is where you have law enforcement with Tiger Swan.
Okay. Did you hear the part about advocacy journalism,
Yeah.
Duke?
Yeah, we're not included in that.
What is advocacy journalism?
As we keep moving forward and
How come
bring
he's
in
talking
awareness.
again?
Oh,
Please stop him.
Yes. Sorry about
Advocacy journalism sounds like propaganda journalism, where we make up the stories and sell them, and you buy this hook, line, and sinker. Because, folks, that is what he's talking about. You realize that he was talking about a setup where they set up a treaty camp on an area they knew they were not supposed to be at, so that the police would come and take them off of there. And they set up an EP so that they would do a sweat, so that the police that were moving people out of the area would be forced to take them out of there. And then, of course, they would be like, oh, you just violated my religious freedoms. And, of course, all of this was filmed. It was in that Awake movie that he was part of. They were out there setting up cameras way ahead of time because they were going to catch it all on film. Folks, this was a movie set. Standing Rock was a movie set. You have to understand that. And then he says that we're documenting we're telling our stories, what our ancestors went through. Ancestors? Whose? I'm confused because you just said recently that the Caravan members, the Central Americans, are part of the 12 lost tribes of Israel. What are you talking about, crazy? Go home, Myron, you're drunk. This is a post from Digital Smoke Signals, and he's saying, there are thousands of Central Americans already in the U.S. We are descendants of the tribes of Israel, and this land belongs to us. The resources are ours. You're Israeli? You're Jewish? All of the Native Americans and Central Americans are Jewish? What? What are you on? Are you high or are you drunk? Which is it? But you know that this is not true, what they told us. This nonsense that he said about in that video. Oh, you know what? The police, this is the same man, and what he was talking about was that the police, together with the Tiger Swan, were taking the sacred ritual things, whatever materials that people use for their sacred rituals, and desecrating them. He later expanded upon this and said that people urinated and defecated on these items. I want you to note this because it's important. At the end of the closing of the camps, these folks left over 800 dumpsters full of trash, damage to the environment, burning buildings, vehicles, burned out cars. It looked like a wasteland, folks. And they did these things and called it a ceremony. He just said, "Oh, that's why they had to burn those things because it was they were desecrated." They said the same thing at the end when they burned everything down and destroyed and stole so many things. But in truth, we know the truth. They dedicated that to this station. Here's his drone co-pilot, his co-conspirator, dedicating the burning of the buildings in Standing Rock to me.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. That was the best joke of the night, man. That was the joke of the night right there. 8.1 FM, it wasn't me. Yeah, you hear that, Cindy? It wasn't him. You let go of knowledge way too early in that move. But it's okay. I forgive you. We all fuck up sometimes. This is dedicated to 88.1 Fargo Moorhead. Here, hold it, I'm gonna get myself in there.
So, who's really behind these meth-addled drone pilots, ex-felons, Antifa-connected Caravan Support Network activists. Well, it is people like Jim Peruzzi and Doug McLean, whose page, originally the pipeline protest page that has thousands and thousands of followers, just like the one that was managed by Jay Ponti for Miss Vanessa Dundon, one of the native faces of the Standing Rock and now the Caravan Support Network movement. But who's really behind it is this white passing Italian fake Indian shaman Jim Greywolf Peruzzi, who manages this page. Here he talks about how we've gone from Standing Rock to climate change emergency, and the climate change emergency is at the borders. It's at the people crossing with these caravans. It has to do with the caravan migrants. How the hell did we get to that? I'll let wacky Jim Greywolf Peruzzi tell you in the voice of Duke.
From Standing Rock to climate change emergency. Standing Rock demonstrated we can cross borders, cultures, and other lines to unite around making changes people need to survive in a healthy way. That amazing work expanded to Water is Life movement, where we also are working in unity. As the first and largest virtual support group for the Standing Rock protest, we're honoring what was accomplished there and across the world by focusing our energies on unity at a global level. We want to capture the energy, heart, and spirit of the people of Standing Rock, started by our Native American relatives, and bring it to the climate change battle. Our Indigenous friends are asked again and again to step up to show strength by their example, as the young are doing now and others, so we can all stand as one in our power. Now, we must focus on the elephant in the middle of the room. Climate change, especially the negative effects we humans have caused with our negative actions on our planet. And so, this group needs to focus on climate change, and even as we continue to cover all that has come out of Standing Rock, we will focus on climate change first here and use the lessons of all the other positive movements. If we do not act strongly and immediately on climate change, we will be faced with a planet that will no longer support human life, or at least in a safe, comfortable way. But there is still time, and there are many, many of us fighting these battles now, fighting in the way of Standing Rock peacefully. We will continue to honor and support groups focused on specific protests when they fall within our mission of water, nature, and unity for global change. These are the symptoms of the disease that has infected humans and eats away at our Earth's health. Here, however, we will focus on the causes, why all these symptoms are occurring. If it is these causes we hope to heal or replace with healthier ways. And the cause of many of our current weather and health and social pains is quickly becoming climate change. Let's seek ways to address this. We have the power in the spirit, and we will be sharing about items such as sustainable energy, permaculture, water blessings, joyful circles around water and Mother Earth, drums, dance, singing, prayer, ceremonies to connect us as one people, educational camps, and sanctuaries to meet and learn, and partnerships to share resources. Rules for posting are in files. Please no hate or rage anger. Come together as one, help to heal the sacred hoop wherever it is broken, and right now it is broken in many places. Those disrespecting this will be asked to leave. There are places just to rant, but not here. Here we create as one. Love to each of you. Wastilo Jim Graywin Peruzzi for the admins.
Right, one of whom is Doug McLean. Here you can see that Jim Peruzzi created this pipeline page back in August of 2016. So this was right around the time of the great swell of people arriving at the camp at Standing Rock to fight the Dakota Access Pipeline. This is Jim's Facebook profile, so you can get a better look at what he looks like. There he is, gray beard. And you can see that there is definitely some kind of a white hippie wants to play an Indian type of a problem going on with Mr. Peruzzi here. He considers himself some kind of a shaman, I guess. And you'll notice most of the people that are doing the thing with him are all older white folks
Yep,
that have
exactly.
a similar type of bent to them. You know the kind I am talking about.
Definitely.
Can somebody, I mean, after reading that whole Standing Rock to climate change, twisted into a pretzel narrative that he took us through, that he walked us through, that includes now border crossings. I mean, that was crazy. Can somebody just get Jim a marijuana cigarette and and send him to Burning Man or something? Like, this guy needs to stay out of leading on or managing the issues that primarily affect communities that are vulnerable, like those involved in these caravans, and especially don't put fake shaman on top of it, please. It's yucky. Jim Greywolf Peruzzi says, we are leading a shamanic practice journey in and around Sedona in September. Below, that's his wife. She gets into this too. Below is the info book. Whatever portion speaks to you, but join for some part of it. The last time we came together for one of these, the energy was sky high. I bet it was, and I bet you were too. Anyway, let's go on to Doug McLean, his founder of this group that he manages and moderates and admins with. Here's one of his posts on that, and you can see it says he is indeed a moderator. And he posts primarily about Native American stuff and environmental things, but you can also see him in the Border Support Network here. And here he is, boots on the ground in Tijuana with Kei Kurimoto, with Lolly B, with Katrina Caravos, with Clan Westmoreland, with Vivian Farmery, with Mr. What's his name? The guy with the little goatee that sings the songs that are so horrible.
Oh, God. I can't remember.
Adam Elfers.
Yeah, Adam Elfers.
Adam Elfers. And these are some of the folks, as you know, that were primarily responsible for the 6-day standoff with the federal police at the Viento Marea shelter that did nothing but cause a lot of tensions and resentment. These are the same people that were involved in taking members of these groups to the shelter, Agape shelter, that Pastor Albert Rivera has accused members of this group, the same group that went down to the shelter, including people that are pictured here, of giving drugs to the members of the caravan, including an unaccompanied minor, and of being involved in his kidnapping. Okay, so whose interests does this really serve? He says he works for Unchi Maka. You get the feeling that he wants to be an Indian too?
Yeah.
And if you keep scrolling down, you'll notice that he's for Sanders, and he was part of Greenpeace Australia. And if you keep going down further and further, it says that he lives in Australia, but he's from Yonkers, New York. He is undeniably a white man through and through. He's blue-eyed, blonde-haired, not somebody with a name like McLean that you could even, confuse for being Native American. But yet he runs the Indigenous Life Movement page with posts like this one about whether or not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was really at Standing Rock, because she was. And she told her Native American story of coming out of a wigwam after a sweat and beginning this journey that began there. It's like her origin story for her superhero, right? She started there, and he writes, arguments wonder, was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez really in Standing Rock? Standing Rock was quite the experience for the several 100,000 who visited and the few who stood the frozen blizzard temperatures for months on end. But there is an argument that people are having, was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez really at Standing Rock? We had no issue going back to fact check this to any, simply because we had the honor of meeting AOC at Standing Rock. Oh, I'm sure, Doug, I'm sure you were working right alongside of her and Bernie, because he works with Bernie at the Ocheti Sacoan camp, where she spent her time visiting with campers and actually listening to people's stories and reasons for being there. Thank you, AOC. You're inspired. You've inspired the coming generations geared toward draining the swamp. These people have a political agenda. Always did. Always will, folks. And that is not Indigenous led. That is not grassroots anything. Grassroots means nalgas. That isn't grassroots. Standing Rock protectors posted about the Venezuela thing that I told you is connected to people like Code Pink. And of course, I told you Code Pink was recently fundraising along with Francis Fisher and Jay Ponti. Those are the people behind all of this, really. Those are the people at the top. And in this article in B.S. Norrell blog, where they are talking about how the Tohono O'odham have become the target of the annihilation of Homeland Security. They are reporting this in Jamaica. A woman named Ophelia testified there in Jamaica. Ophelia Rivas. Here's a picture of her. And it says that Tohono O'odham Ophelia Rivas testified to that her people are being brutalized by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and her homelands are being militarized, just as was the case at Standing Rock. By the way, these are the people that are right there by the border where Irineo Mujica, one of the leaders of the Pueblos Sin Fronteras group being investigated by Homeland Security, has his little over-the-border taxi business on the border of Sonoita, Mexico, and Louisville, Texas? Is it Louisville? Is it Louis Clark? Is it Clark? No, I can't. I'm going to get it wrong. Anyway, it's also the location of the place near Ajo, Texas, where that guy that is on the hook for possibly up to 20 years for the No More Deaths group, Scott Warren, is from. All of these groups, all of these things, all these people being investigated and looked at more closely by Homeland Security is right next to the reservation of the Tohono O'odham, who I told you are part of the plan. They're there on the chalkboard at Antioch College, part of the Border Support Network. There's a reason why they're part of the plan. You need to know what the part of the plan is. We got to hear, what are they saying? Well, they're saying that before she was speaking before the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights in Jamaica, and she told of the 500 years of genocidal policies that today result in her people constantly being under attack by the United States. It says U.S. Homeland Security has criminalized the Tohono O'odham. As a result of her testimony, she was returning home. The U.S. placed an SSSS status on her airline ticket in Jamaica. Ophelia was delayed for 2 days with repeated searches in Kingston, Jamaica, Miami, and Dallas. In her testimony in Jamaica, she began to acknowledge the Arawak people by acknowledging the Arawak people ancestors on the island. Ophelia said she was testifying as a direct witness and descendant of over 500 years of brutal genocidal policies and against indigenous peoples by the U.S. government in the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo and in 1953 with the Gadsden Purchase, divided her original homelands into two countries, the United States and Mexico, displacing the O'odham and placing them into exile. She testified, "Today we exist on 1/10 of our original homelands." Ophelia described loss of O'odham homelands in Mexico. "Our homelands have been sold and stolen by the state government and taken over by the drug cartels," she testified. On the Tohono O'odham Nation, the most recent impact after 9/11 was the U.S. militarization of their homelands. The racist and inhumane laws, such as the Patriot Act and inhumane immigration policies, have resulted in constant abuse of the Tohono O'odham. So immigration policies are now the main reason why, and securing the border, are the main reasons why they're being annihilated, why this tribe is saying that they're being annihilated. Pay attention, folks. She said, "Today people are attacked with dogs." They have home invasions and are detained in their homes with their children. People are attacked by army military and forced off the road and detained without cause. U.S. Department of Homeland Security has criminalized the Tohono O'odham. Ophelia has witnessed an 80-year-old elder kneeling beside the road with her arms above her head because they didn't understand the demands for proof of citizenship. They speak their own language and don't understand English or Spanish. She said the U.S. is intent in widespread wipeout of the so-called inferior people with its genocidal policies. Nothing having to do with the close connection between the Tohono O'odham tribe in this international trafficking and smuggling operation known as the Border Support Network and their groups and members. No, it's just the genocidal policies of the racist Homeland Security. That's what you're saying. And is that what you're hearing, Duke?
Yes, I'm
okay.
hearing.
That's your only excuse? That's your only reason? I pray that all animals, plants, and living beings will be recognized and protected, she said in conclusion. Okay, now here's the part you don't want to miss. Here's the part you don't want to miss. Pay attention, folks, because this is going to blow your mind. Ophelia is a founder of O'odham Voice Against the Wall. Against the wall? She don't want the wall? She don't want the wall too? Okay, I'm following. So just like the two native nations that are supposed to have the moral authority to weigh in on whether or not we should have a wall at the border that we inserted into the Border Support Network, and one of them being the Tohono O'odham, with which Myron Dewey and Evan Duke have both gone to meet with to plan out their strategies. These folks too also are no border, no wall. Got you. Okay. And then she exposes the current plan to spy towers in her community on the Tohono O'odham Nation. U.S. Homeland Security has contracted Israel's Elbit system to construct the tower on sovereign land. Elbit is responsible for apartheid security in Palestine. We've linked it to Palestine?
Wow.
Oh my God. I feel like this is that Kevin Bacon game. Holy cow. How many things can we connect this to that they're all involved with, like I've shown you? Ophelia testified in the criminalization of Indigenous people with Michelle Cook. Does that name sound familiar to you, Duke?
It sure does.
DNA lawyer and organizer Casey Camp Horniak, Ponca tribal councilwoman, and Leona Cowboy Dine, wife of imprisoned Standing Rock water protector Michael Littlefeather Giron. Did I just blow you away? She testified along with all the people from Standing Rock that have really nothing to do, or do they, with the Border Support Network and the current camps at the Caravan, all of the stuff going on at the wall. The stuff going on at the wall. Why are you bringing Standing Rock people? Michael Littlefeather was from like the Twin Cities area. I don't even know what these people are talking about sometimes. Unless I'm mistaken, he might not, and maybe it was his brother. But my point is that I'm missing the relevance here. But further down it says the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, her testimony from throughout the Americas, and then it says that where was the Water Protector Legal Collective?
It's right here. Next slide.
Oh, okay. Oh, Ophelia, I missed this part. Water Protector hearing. The hearing was requested. Excuse me. The hearing was requested by the Water Protector Legal Collective and the Indigenous People and Policy Program. Divest, Invest, Protect was honored to support the women's delegation. Divest, Invest, Protect. I've heard of a lot of these divest things. The hearing request was sponsored by over 70 national and international organizations and indigenous governing institutions. I'm not going to go read through the whole thing, but when I saw Water Protector Legal Collective connected to the Freshet, connected to the Lakota Law Project, one of which the umbrella nonprofit that is the fiscal agent for the Freshet is being currently sued for crimes against little Native children, sexual molestation crimes that were covered up by Honor the Earth, allegedly, in this lawsuit that she is being sued in. There's a lot of darkness around these folks, and I just was floored to learn that the Tohono O'Dom's got the Water Protector Legal Collective all up in there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You already got the Water Protector Legal Collective all up in there. I told you they were involved. Now they're involved with the tribes having to do with the caravans that are working with the Border Support Network. How convenient. How convenient, isn't it? Who else is Michelle connected to? Michelle Cook connected to. She's connected. Here is the Jamaica WPLC, the Rob Wilson post in which he's talking about being in the secret government watch list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, she claims to be a lawyer. Just throwing that out there so you can hear what her comment is. And if you scroll all the way down, he's talking about how, journalists refusing to be intimidated for doing their jobs. Journalism is not a crime. And this is the NBC San Diego leaked list in which appears Nicole Ramos. And all the way at the bottom, there's a comment by this Michelle Cook who says that, well, we have a watch list of all of the great people to follow. And she goes, well, we have a great list of all the great people to follow and support. Stay brave and quick. So if you're part of the Border Support Network, if you're part of these people that are being investigated by the Department of Homeland Security, on this lawyer of the WPLC's list, you're on the list of the great people to follow and support. This is a lawyer promoting, a lawyer supposedly with this group, promoting this kind of activity that gets you on these lists. And the next post, didn't she say something else there too?
Let's see.
And then she says, not a bad pick they have either. So she gives him kudos. Hey, you look good, and you're a hero on my list.
Mm-hmm.
And she also appeared with the Nexus Group connected to funding the Young Turks. The Young Turks. Here is Marianne Thompson Frank of Billionaire Wealth that runs the Menoncean Institute, where the film by Josh Fox and James Spion was shown, that featured filmmaker Myron Dewey. Why, here we all, first full circle. And who's in the picture with Michelle Cook and this millionaire? Well, it's Mr. Juan B. Mancias, the tribal leader of the Carrizo Come Crudo tribe. And they were operating together long ago, all the way back to Standing Rock. Folks, are the interests of either the indigenous people or the vulnerable people of the Caravan, the Central Americans, the Mexicans being affected in Mexico now, are they the ones that are being represented by these folks? Not one bit. Not one bit. If anything, what we've learned is that they want to astroturf this issue, and they've gotten all the way to climate change Caravan now. Now it's all about the climate and the climate policy that they're going to shove down our throats in this next legislative session. So I wanted to show you one last thing she's involved in. She's out at the camps, guys. Don't forget I showed you Michelle is down there as a protester, as a resistor. She's also one of the lawyers with WPLC. But hey, that's how these lawyers roll, because they were out here at the camps too. They don't just oversee, they co-conspirate, folks. That's why I don't trust Al Otro Lado or the lawyers that are involving themselves now, because I think they're unscrupulous. I've showed you that they lie. I showed you that they do things that are wrong. But they also have larger political agenda, folks. Here's one last slide of Michelle Cook, where she is with her Iranian brothers and sisters. And she says, and this was just last year in May, around this time, I will never forget you, my sisters and brothers, my Iranian relatives. I do not agree with 45 Trump. We will still fight for peace together for all of our nations and peoples. I love and care for you. I pray for your protection. We Indian people know how it feels when peace treaties are broken. And there she is with her Iranian brothers and sisters who look like they're in some kind of soldier outfits. Don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Some kind of military thing going on there. And there she is with her head covered.
Yeah.
Interesting, folks. Stay tuned for our next show here on A Mexican Crossing Lines. I will be bringing you more about what these activists are into. There's an article in the Shadowproof you've got to look at. It's pretty interesting about what those activists that were at the Border Patrol Museum that desecrated some of the damaged or they vandalized some of the exhibits there at the museum are up to.
Defaced them.
They defaced some of the exhibits, and some of them are facing felony charges. We'll bring you more about what's really going on behind the scenes here on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM, KPPP LP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. And don't forget to check me out on Tori Says. Tomorrow, I'm going to be on Red State Radio with Tori Says. So don't miss it, because I'm going to have more for you on the Caravan. I think she's going to have me on a little bit longer this time so I can ramble on and give you more of the deets. Thanks for being here, and good night.